None of the content on this or any episode of the Kratom Science Podcast, Kratom Science Journal Club, or on any page of kratomscience.com is intended, nor should it be considered, medical claims or medical advice. This is the Kratom Science Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Gallagher, blog and social media writer for kratomscience.com, your source for all things Kratom. My guests are Adam Peak and Leann Pierson, co-owners of Bella Sunrise Smokeshop in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They've recently been testifying before the Louisiana House, Senate, and in parish council meetings to fight against the prohibition of Kratom. Going to the Capitol and stuff must wear you out, especially since you don't know exactly when they're going to be talking about the bill, so you just got to sit there for a while, I guess.
Oh, and it's not just that, but we also have a couple of other pending bills or pending legislation that impacts my business regarding vaping products and the hemp industry. There's at least, I think, 5 to 7 bills that actively target my shop. Kratom, of course, having 2 bills actively against it, but it's just kind of a free for all. You can't be at every meeting at once, you know.
I don't know what those other bills are. So what are they actually?
So one of them aims to gut the hemp industry. I don't have the list in front of me, but I want to say it was like HB 635. Either which way, it would have aimed to gut the entire hemp industry in Louisiana, all the new local businesses that have grown in the past year or so, with the regulations that allow us to sell certain THC products as long as it's below the state average of 0.5%, or 0.3% is what it was. And I think it was Senator Cathy wanted to get it brought down to 0 milligrams. But since then, I think he's changed his mind. Like I told you, it's all over the place with all of these bills, and it's almost impossible to keep up with everyone's opinion on them when it comes to our legislators.
Yeah, because sometimes they change. Back and forth and back again. Like SB 94, it was a ban bill. Then he said, well, I'm willing to reconsider a ban. And then he put it through again as a ban bill. And then he came over to the House and said, well, I don't want it to be banned now again. He was kind of sheepish for a minute there. What do you think got him to change his mind, Klein Peter?
First off, I do want to say that I don't think that job is an easy one.
Yeah.
For one, if you genuinely didn't have an understanding of what something like Kratom is, I can only sympathize if your moral compass is pointing north and you have a genuine concern for your constituents. Somebody drops rhetoric like gas station heroin. Obviously, you're going to jump into action. But from what I've been able to see, and I'm prepared to be wrong as always, but I genuinely think that Klein Peter seems to be on our side on the end of this, being that he stopped his ban bill. But at the same time, I hear talk about how there's going to be parish by parish regulation, and more or less like the sheriffs are going to be taking over on this now. And I just kind of need these officials to start giving me more affirmation as to what's going on, as opposed to all this third party nonsense I'm getting.
There was that HB, it was 655, but that didn't go through. That was the KCPA bill. I think the sessions are over now as of yesterday. Is that true? Do you know?
I've heard that as well, but I was not on the sadder end of things, not to depress anyone's day, but yesterday one of our pets it was their last day. He gave us a long 9-10 years of wonderful joy. But that is ultimately kind of taken over a lot of our focus. And since like the past 2 days, we have been really off the ball.
Yeah. Well, I think sessions are over, but SB 94 is on the governor's desk, but it's just an age restriction bill, I believe now.
Mm-hmm.
And which is totally acceptable.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's no longer a ban bill. They they added an amendment to where it's not really a ban. I think what made Klein Peter change his mind is because a lot of people came after him online, emailing him on his social media, and just were telling telling him what's what, basically.
I mean, it's because we're all paying attention, and we saw you look at Paul and say, I'm also a veteran, and okay, I'll consider not banning it. Sometimes, every once in a while, you can find a connection, like in Livingston, there was a connection between, like, the sheriff and the rehab facility, and things like that. With Klein Peter, I couldn't find anything. Like, I don't even think he was getting... Pharma gives, like, everybody money, but I don't even think they were giving him any money. I don't think he's a corrupt guy. I think he just thought that was the right thing to do. And
God knows who's pressuring him.
He said that he got some bad information, and I could be wrong, but I think that maybe I heard somewhere that his wife is in the medical field. I don't know.
Okay. And then the other ban bill, the House, that seems to have been tabled, like, back in May. The sessions are over now, so that's not going to go anywhere, so that one's dead. What they really needed was a KCPA, so the parishes aren't going to run wild now. Has anything happened in, is it Baton Rouge Parish? Is that the name of the parish?
My shop is located in East Baton Rouge.
Okay.
To the effects of that council, I haven't noticed any changes or motions yet. Honestly, it's a more of the rural parishes that'll be seeing a lot more of that. Small townish. Everyone goes to the same church kind of thing. For years that I've worked at Bella, I've always had issues with people who sell little black bags of God knows what labeled as Kratom. That at the end of the day is going to be the main objective, I think, in any kind of regulation. It does need to be similar in regulation to alcohol. You know, there can't be, you got to have a manufacturer's address to address liability concerns. Should there be something wrong with a product that goes out? Accountability is just the biggest part of any product that's mass produced and intended for consumption or an inhalation, you know.
I just want to talk about your shop. It's called Bella Sunrise, and it's in East Baton Rouge.
Yeah, Bella Sunrise Smokeshop right down Jones Creek. We've been around since 2009. The old owners were angels, and due to a litany of issues they were having, just from medical issues, I'm not going to air their laundry out, but long story short, they didn't want to sell Bella short of me working every day. The only other option was to either shut it down or give me the chance to pay it off at around $1,000 a week based off of whatever Bella could generate. And then COVID hit after about 6 months of being in business, so that was fun.
Yeah, I'm sure. That was great.
As much as I love them, there was a part of me that was like, did you guys see this coming? Like, what was going on?
And Leann, do you work there, or do you co-own it?
Technically, I co-own it.
I
don't usually work there, but I do go in every now and again and, you know, talk to customers, do all that kind of stuff. And we've been together for, I think, 12 years, and we've been married for like 2 now.
Oh, yeah. She's the one that's really running shit. I just do the math.
Yeah.
Sure. He knows it all.
What kind of products do you sell besides Kratom?
Our biggest selling product, aside from Kratom, would be our glass selection. Definitely something I'm willing to brag about and am confident in saying. I might not have the biggest glass inventory in the state, but I definitely have the biggest glass selection. I don't think any other shop has a wider selection of glass artists from around the country and the world. There's a couple of artists I speak to outside the country, but yeah, glass is our big forte. Aside from that, it's your typical smoke shop stuff, disposable vapes, which, again, I don't know how much longer that's going to be the case. They're trying to ban all flavored vaping juices.
Oh, my God.
But, well, to be fair, I've heard 1 or 2 arguments that I actually kind of agree with, but, you know, disposables being landfill hell. And if we are talking the argument of kids, at least with a cigarette, you know, you need a lighter.
Yeah, but
a disposable's all together, ready to go, kind of a thing.
They make flavored tobacco, and no one's coming after that, though. So, like, it's weird.
No, the flavor thing I think is stupid. Adults like flavored stuff too. This is just a security theater, make them look like they're doing their job thing.
And who doesn't like gummy bears? Come on, everybody does.
Oh, I don't care how hard or manly you're trying to act. Come on, like you're never gonna convince me that a blue raspberry vape it will always taste better than is hitting a cigarette
or fake tobacco. Vape, not a good taste.
Yep, that's just me. You know, everybody has different tastes.
Do you sell the Kratom powder, and do you have it in like big boxes, or do you just sell it in bags?
Oh, right now we only sell it in bags, and one brand sells it in bottles for the capsules, whole herbs. But the highest amount we sell at the moment is I think it was a 20 ounce bag. Yeah, 20 ounces is the largest amount of powder we sell at a time. Anything liquid is no bigger than like a 1 milliliter shot.
Yeah.
Or I think
it's like a little ounce, maybe.
Yeah. And we also, of course, sell caffeine-based supplements as well. You know, you got the 5-hour energies, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to Kratom, yeah, back to the whole, we don't sell anything without the appropriate labeling concept.
Right. And we go off the AKA, of course, to make sure that they're, registered with them.
And you mentioned, I was listening to your testimonies earlier today, and you mentioned that you put the products through scrutinies, and you have like testing kits. What kind of kits do you have?
Oh, they're very cheap, generic ones you can buy on Amazon. They're just, in fact, I got to see if I have an extra bottle laying around somewhere, but you can just Google fentanyl, caffeine. I buy them individually now. I don't like the multi-panel ones. I do like to go individually down the separate adulterated products that'll on average be added to Kratom that I've found, most of which 90% of the time, if I get a new brand that always weirds me out, it's almost 90% of the time boosted with caffeine extract or phenibut, or lately I've seen a couple with tianeptine. But thankfully, the fentanyl testing strip, thankfully that one hasn't popped positive on anything I've received yet. But I just got to be safe.
What would you have to do if it did? Would you have to like call the police and be like?
Well, most of these brands are out of the state, or I said, unlabeled to begin with. They'll send me samples, and I will test them just so I can maybe go on a Reddit thread and warn people. But would the FDA be able to do anything about that, you think, if I called them up?
I don't think they would do anything. They don't seem to have enough resources to do anything other than try to get the U.S. Marshals to seize big shipments at the border, and then that Botanic Tonics company that's being sued, they just like seized their entire product, because I think they were selling drinks as just kava that had Kratom in them.
Allegedly.
And there's a guy
I heard about that.
Yeah, there's a guy that's suing them. I mean, he got addicted to it. I mean, he was a former like alcoholic and OUD. Even kava alone, he could have got addicted to by itself. But there was Kratom in the product that the company wasn't advertising at the time.
Allegedly.
Which is not right.
That transparency is really important.
So I think that's the FDA decided, well, okay, the company's big enough, we're going to go after them, because they just don't have enforcement resources. Like the U.S. Marshals carry out their enforcement, so it's like one of those things where they have this whole big dietary supplements industry to watch over, and they just don't have the capacity to enforce every little company. So you said you find phenibut and tianeptine and caffeine, and are these any companies that we know of that are common anywhere? I mean, I assume all the ones on the AKA list are pretty on the up and up.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
They're on top of it.
And this, of course, is said with the exception of I haven't found one of these in over like 5 to 6 years now, but quite a while back. OPMS is a very, very popular brand.
Oh, yeah.
And I had been told by a couple of my old sales reps that there had been a very large infusion of counterfeit product that were using the OPMS labels from like last year. So long story short, they were going on eBay or something, buying the plastic labels for cents to the pennies to the dollar, and just filling it with whatever they want. And I did find some batches of OPMS capsules from third-party wholesalers, which that ended that. Now, if I can't get it from the manufacturer, I just wait. People are going to have to just wait till I'm out of or restocked, because going through anyone third party, you never know what their stuff is cut with. They could have half legit supply and then half counterfeit that they sell you at regular cost, and you wouldn't ever know the difference. Oh, and that's the other thing. A big warning to people if they haven't noticed it before, but Kratom doesn't typically glitter. So if you ever buy powder and you notice it sparkle back from the bag, that's probably, on average, I've noticed that to be either phenobit or caffeine.
Wow.
But to the topic of tianeptine, I think we talked about this last time as well. There's a big problem with those products. Zaza and Tiana, if you haven't heard of it or researched it,
both are tianeptine.
Those are flooding the gas stations. I've been told by many, many separate wholesalers, both local and out of state, that it's completely legal. It's safe to sell. You'll make easy money with it.
It's technically an outdated antidepressant. Like
synthetic antidepressant at that, and it's
very addictive.
It's something that if you would claim to have a moral compass and you owned a storefront, I don't think you'd be selling. Just my opinion.
Kratom kind of gets lumped in with all that, and a couple years ago it was bath salts and whatnot.
The gas station heroin, that's literally what people call tianeptine, and when people call Kratom that, it just kind of boils my blood. I'm like, it's not even close to that. Like, no.
Yeah. Been a habit of mine too that I like to keep bringing it up in every meeting I attend, that I'm always under the influence of it when I go to those meetings. On average, I don't really use Kratom more than 2 to 3 times a month, if that.
Or a year.
They've really got me upping my take on a daily basis, and I'm still fine. So
yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I just I wouldn't know what to tell them at this point. If the live evidence isn't enough to show them that you're not going to hallucinate on at least at the 5 to 6 grams I took between every meeting, I just don't see how someone could say at this point that it's hallucinogenic.
Right, and I take more. I take like more than I probably should. I mean, 10 grams seems like a lot to me, but I never have had any hallucination issues. Just because it's a psychoactive plant doesn't mean that you're going to hallucinate on it, and I think that's kind of where people get confused.
Yeah, the word psychoactive I think confuses people because coffee's psychoactive. It changes your brain.
Cigarettes are psychoactive.
People are just really trigger sensitive to certain words.
I could make water sound bad. I mean, dihydrogen monoxide sounds bad for you, but it's literally just H2O.
Yeah, I think it was like Rochester, New York or something. They put a sign on the water fountain that says it contains dihydrogen monoxide. Please don't swim in.
Can't remember what state it was in. Someone got one of their local senators to admit to ban apples because they talked about the chemical makeup of, this is a substance that's comprised of, here's a list of terrible sounding chemicals, and at the end of it, you just agreed to banning apples.
It has arsenic in it. There's like a trace amount of arsenic. That's the thing with the alkaloids, too. There's such traces amount of 7-hydroxy, which is supposed to be 13 times stronger than morphine, according to like one mouse study. Even I was checking a liquid extract shock I bought the other day for my friend who's in severe pain. And she broke her humerus. Upper arm bone, split it in half. So her arm, she just got surgery. She got like a plate with like 13 bolts or something. But she couldn't have surgery for 9 days. And since she had a former OUD, they finally gave in to giving her pain medication, and they gave her 6 pills, whatever it was, Percocet, whatever. All right, I'm going to bring you the strong shit, but just take a sip of this and see if it. And then she messaged me, oh my god, I'm in no pain, I'm gonna get up and make dinner. So I'm glad those strong things are available. And even that, and on the label they only claimed 0.005% of alkaloids of 7-hydroxy. With those, they're like 45% mitragynine, so that alone.
Anything past their argument of lethality or the quality of addiction, etc., The only standing leg argument that I've heard most times now is about the children. And
I've never heard of a kid trying to take Kratom. It's so nasty tasting.
yeah, I can't tell you in the 10 to 11 years I've been working at this smoke shop, every time a child would wander in and look at the glass wall or the vape wall before getting kicked out, I've never had a kid ask me about buying Kratom. That just doesn't exist. You know, how many party songs these days you hearing about Kratom, you know, like if this was a dangerous substance to our kids, I'm sure we would have found it on the playground by now, some articles, I don't know.
If a kid did take Kratom, like say you're a parent and you have children and they somehow got into your Kratom capsules or something, that's not going to kill them. Thank goodness. But also, I think that's on the parent to, handle.
Oh yeah,
it's not on us. Kids get a hold of all sorts of stuff nowadays. It's crazy.
There was a case where it was in the news. A teenager tries to kill herself by taking her dad's Kratom capsules, and she took.
Oh my God.
She took like 25 capsules, which is what, like 10 grams if they're big,
a little over
something
10.
like that.
half-gram caps.
She got, and it might have been in like 40, which is 20, and she got sick, and they said she was kind of she probably got the eye wobbles, it seemed like it, and she was just nauseated, and they went to the ER and everything. I mean, I'm sure they were scared, and it's like, I'm lucky she didn't open the liquor cabinet and down a whole bottle of whiskey. She would have been much more successful. Is it mainly like the cost because I know you do the scrutiny, you do the test kits, and is it just mainly the cost that the retailers don't feel like they have to do that? Or is it just they don't care, or they don't know?
I would say
they don't know.
As a small business in a single location, it's really not expensive for me to do that, because I only test new brands, and if a customer has any issues with any batch they feel that was just irregular to their normal experience, then I ask them if they can bring the bag back to me, or if they can tell me a batch number, anything from what the prior packaging, or hell, I'll even look at the date of purchase if they have it on the receipt. And I'll go back on the cameras to see if I can find when that batch was stocked. Mm-hmm. But once it's tested, if anything pops up, which thankfully my manufacturers haven't let me down yet, I only ever have issues with all these random new vaguely printed bags. Look like they just had an AI generated logo and everything pop in. They really show themselves apart. I can say that. Like, and the best indicator is always the fact that there's no manufacturer's address labeled.
Right, or a distributor or anything. Like, all of the bags we sell have testing, and they have a distributor phone number and address, all of that.
And there was one brand, I think it was called Kong Kratom, Kong. That's all it said. Had a big gorilla on the front of the label. They used gel caps instead of veggie capsules, so you can't see into them. And yeah, the whole thing was just a flat black bag and that label in the front that just said Kong Kratom.
I think that other business owners in our area probably just don't care enough to, because honestly, there's no regulations on it, so they don't have to do anything.
Yeah. I'm surprised, you're you guys and Paul and maybe a couple others were the only people who showed up who sell Kratom. I'm surprised, everybody that owns a smoke shop that makes money on Kratom wouldn't show up. But you mentioned, Adam, that if Kratom was banned, it probably wouldn't, you could still survive as a business. You were mentioning that to the legislators. Is that true, or is it like a big part of your income at the store?
It would definitely hurt. If anyone with multiple locations, they're definitely going to suffer. But there are alternatives to segue into that still aren't deadly. My biggest push, though, I would be heavily involved in the hemp products if they didn't take that from me as well. But I would basically convert the entirety of that wall to more hemp products or excess glass. It's just space that would have been just reused, But just from a personal standpoint and how long I've taken it, I still stand by what I said about I'm willing to operate with the government. I follow a bunch of foolish rules every day, and to the effect of I sell water pipes, not bongs. They're for tobacco use only.
Yeah.
You can go to a dispensary in Louisiana. They'll sell you a bong just fine. Come in my shop with a medical card, I still have to kick you out. If just to show you a little bit of other interesting ways our state works. As I've been corrected many times, our doctors do not prescribe marijuana. They recommend it because that's the only way we can keep it a Schedule I substance in the state of Louisiana. Legally, you're not allowed to prescribe Schedule I substances. So recommendations are just fine, though. There's not a specific list of words you can and can't say. The actual law that dictates the whole bong water pipe thing for tobacco use only, the law itself says that I am not allowed to sell anything that elicits to an illegal substance. I can't sell you a meth pipe, but I can sell you a rose pipe, which I refuse to sell. Yeah. But that's just the kind of the ambiguous wording and regulation that our state abides by. And all it does is for people like me who, if I'm going to pat myself on the back and say I authentically care and I'm trying to give the best quality to anyone who comes into my store, you're just putting more against me because anyone who's not following your rules, these aren't regulations that force people to follow the rules. This is just giving them a bigger window and a bigger advantage against me.
People can't make medical claims and sell Kratom. If you have a customer that comes in and says, I'm looking for something for pain, can you show them something at that point?
When it comes to Kratom, like my wife said, there are no regulations. I would assume technically, since before even the age requirement, it feels dirty even saying it, but I guess there was technically nothing stopping anyone from selling Kratom to like a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
But brands were still smart enough to at least put 21 and older on their packaging, and that's a standardized rule we applied with anyway. Like anyone in our store has to be minimum 18 to come in and at least buy incense or something like that, or a candle or something. Yeah, we just don't. We want to be a good on paper for the ATC. I'm not trying to cause any troubles. I'm not trying to get any of my employees in harm's way or fined out of hell.
And we also we just don't want kids getting their hands on stuff like that. I mean, just as responsible adults.
I just find that it's just a lot more security theater, and I'm happy to play with it. I've done it for 11 years. I'll play ball, but I would at some point like to see some regulation that maybe actually did something, instead of all this verbal nonsense.
There's important things to legislate. I just
What are your Kratom customers like? You mentioned you were talking about the difference between you had sold tianeptine for a brief period of time, and people were just coming in and out, like needing it or getting pissed off if you didn't have any. And then you mentioned your Kratom customers were physical laborers, veterans, nurses, versus somebody looking to get high or looking to feed like an addiction or a dependency.
Not to throw Starbucks under the bus or anything, but it's honestly a lot like my interactions with a barista. They just come on by, how's your day going? Oh, I kind of need a bit of a boost. Don't talk to me till I've had my coffee. But even if I didn't have it, there's plenty of other, if I didn't have an alternative option, they're like, okay, well, I guess I'll just come back in a week or so, see if you got it back. No biggie.
Drink a cup of coffee and
go get an actual cup of coffee. Like there was always a feeling of alternative or a lack of dependency on immediate satisfaction. It was just.
I mean, I've taken it for 10 years and I'm not like jonesing for it or going through withdrawals if I don't take it for a day. I'm just in pain because I have chronic pain.
Yeah.
If we're talking anything in the service industry, onto the topic of the whole meth pipe thing, the rose pipes.
Oh, God.
It was about 2-3 years ago. Somebody came in causing problems, almost threatened violence against my wife.
He thought I called him ma'am. I was like, hey, what can I get for you, man? And he got mad because he thought I said ma'am.
Yeah, and then just started popping off about immediately, like, where the heck are all your rose pipes, blah, 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 trying to get one. And I'm trying to be nice to him, tell him, hey, we actually don't sell those. Terribly sorry. We got a bunch of spoons, one-hitters, water pipes, all for tobacco use only, putting that hat on.
Yeah.
Of course, he looks at me like I'm a dumbass. And, then he's like, you're lucky I don't, what did he say? He's like, you're lucky I don't beat your ass or something. Something to the effect of sounding that tough, whatever that sounds like to you.
He looked like he was gonna hit me. He was like 6 foot tall and a big bald dude with tattoos everywhere. I'm like, how could I mistake you for a man in the first place, sir?
The part that kind of
my
sucks
God.
was like one or two of his tattoos I actually kind of liked, but I just hated who it was on.
Yeah, Leann, I was going to ask you about your testimony. So you said you've been taking
Absolutely.
it for 10 years, and you said it's for chronic pain, depression, anxiety. So what is that chronic pain from?
Honestly, I haven't had the funds or the ability to get it checked out because MRIs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All the tests cost money. But for as long as I can remember, I've been in pain, even as a child, and so.
Do you think it might be like fibromyalgia or something like that?
I don't know if it would be something like that. I've been looking into something called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome lately because some of my symptoms match up with that, but I'm not sure. I'm not a doctor.
You said you had been on prescribed stuff previously, and you said you're on a whole list of them. And what was your experience like with that, with the prescription meds before you discovered Kratom?
Oh my God, it was awful. They put me on all sorts of different things because when you have depression and anxiety, they got to try different stuff for you. None of them worked. All of them, honestly, I don't know if it made it worse because I couldn't feel anything, but it's just I wasn't a person. I was just floating through life like The Walking Dead. So when I finally discovered Kratom, the reason that I discovered it is because I got addicted to opiates. So I finally wanted to take control of my life, and a lot of people told me about Kratom. I was like, all right, well, I'll try it out. And, over time, I completely got off all of the things that I was on. I'm super proud of myself for that. It's basically for me to self-medicate. And I know that, it's not going to kill my, organs. For how long I've taken it, I know that it's not hurting me. It's helping me.
Yeah, and what was I gonna say? So, would you have any advice with somebody that's on opiates and wants to get off? Would you tell them to try maybe Suboxone first, then Kratom, or was there a method to use, or just over time did you do a certain amount and then change your amount or anything like that?
I wouldn't go for Suboxone or methadone. I've never had those things because I wasn't able to go to rehab or get any real help. But I would definitely say try for Kratom first because the worst that can happen is that it doesn't work for you or you didn't take enough. You kind of just do trial and error with it, and over time, I'm not going to say that I completely stopped using the things immediately. I weaned off of my other medications, of course, because that's what you should do. But I mean, it really kind of just kills the craving for that thing. I haven't even drank alcohol in a really long time now. So it helps with any kind of addiction, in my opinion. And I feel like myself, it makes me more of an outgoing person and someone who could talk to people. And I like that. And I remember things now. So that's great. I'm not mean anymore.
I don't know if it's your experience, but everybody says, it doesn't cure my depression, doesn't cure my anxiety, but it just helps me function with those things. Would you say that you can be more outgoing because you feel a little bit better? Is that why, or is it maybe even the stimulating effects?
I'm not sure if it's the stimulating effects for me. It very well could be, because I do prefer green mangda, but I really think that it helps with you being in pain as well. I think it honestly does both, but it makes me less afraid of people. Like my social anxiety, I'm not afraid to talk to people like, at the shop or whatever and just bullshit and, talk. And it helps me just honestly with everything.
That's what we hear so much. It's almost like a universal opinion, and it's cool because they're actually in the sciences now that Kirsten Smith has been doing science on it. That just the one paper she published was multiple testimonies in their own words in the scientific paper, because she's like, these have to be listened to because these people are the experts right now. Before we haven't done enough science to be as expert as the people that have been taking kratom long term. So let's put their stories in this scientific paper. It's like nothing I've ever read before, and off of PubMed. So I think that was really excellent, and it's just one of those things where it's helping so many people so much. And it's, when you testified, what was the main, because your testimony was awesome, and both of you guys and also Paul, and I'm just like, well, I don't have a podcast this week, but this testimony was so awesome, I'm just gonna make it my podcast. What was the main? Yeah. That was episode 108. But what was the main point you were trying to get across to those people who don't necessarily understand that this is not like Phenobutter, tianeptine, or bath salts? It's
honestly, I just am trying to. I had a whole list of like statistics and stuff, but of course you have to keep it short and try not to repeat what the experts have already said. With their statistics and their science. But as far as my anecdotal evidence, I really I want people to be able to utilize this tool to help themselves, because old grannies use kratom. There's so many people who can benefit from the use of kratom. So I feel like a lot of the information that people hear just random places on the internet, I'm not sure. It's just not really true. And there's people in Thailand, the people in Thailand have been using kratom since the 18th century. So.
I think 1650 was the earliest thing that I found. I interviewed Pascal Tanguay, who's like a French-Canadian guy living in Thailand, and he's a drug policy expert. And he found an apothecary from 1650 from Thailand that had kratom in it. So that's probably the era. And I hadn't heard that before I interviewed him. And I was like, wait, this is like breaking news to me. But that was like way before the Dutch botanist Korth went there and actually classified it in Western medicine. So they've probably been using it for 1,000 years, but yeah,
probably longer.
So there's a way to use it, and obviously if somebody's gonna come in and just do liquid shots all day, every day, with all of our prescription medications that we're on that might interact with it, then that's where the problems are. And with all the crap that's in it that you guys test for, there's going to be those kinds of problems. And I think it's just obvious to me that since they've been taking it without those kind of problems, they all say there's a dependency issue. It's kind of obvious that, they don't have these crazy problems, with liver disorders and whatnot, that it's something happening between there and here that's going on.
Right.
If they're marking issues in dependency, I need to see everyone who has that level of concern for it on the alcohol and tobacco board. They got to work on banning all of that if dependency is the main argument.
Exactly.
Well, people are dependent on coffee. Like, there's like memes and jokes. Don't talk to me till I have my coffee.
Yeah.
So like,
I just think consistency is an important part of being a solid legislator in any seat, and there is such a thing as over-regulation.
Yes.
You can overtax your citizens. You can. Not everybody's as patient as me. I guarantee you, I'd have a lot better competition. My quality of business would have to be a higher level if the regulations were lightened up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There'd be locals all over like, oh, wow, it's that easy to open a smoke shop now? You just basically like run it like a bar? Oh, damn, game on.
Yeah.
They'd be all over the place.
which would be awesome.
Yeah, but you know, they still gotta. I mean, I'm on a tangent with this one, but you know, LSU and Southern, they got a monopolization on the marijuana market down here, the medicinal marijuana market, even though it's a Schedule 1. I just don't get how that works.
Who's the monopoly down there of the medicinal?
Oh, LSU and Southeastern.
They're colleges.
Yeah, the college campuses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they run the entire medical marijuana program in Louisiana.
Really?
And it's
That's interesting.
my biggest gripe with it is that it's very overpriced, and
You're new to this.
I just, as much as I'd give anyone an excuse, because I don't demand perfection, obviously. It's not fair to expect a perfect product every time, but for certain cost, I don't know, more is expected. And especially from the state that has like alcohol delivery, you know, you can get daiquiris shipped to you.
You can get it through a drive-through.
Yep, drive-through daiquiris. You can go get a home brewing kit from Dick's Sporting Goods and start brewing beer in your garage.
Yeah. I have to say, we just visited New Orleans for the first time last St. Patrick's Day, or 2021. And I must say, I really enjoyed carrying alcohol all over the street. I'm like, this is just free for all debauchery. Of course, people are addicted to alcohol. I mean, I'm definitely somewhere high up on the Richter scale of that. And Kratom, but nowadays that I have Kratom, I'm like, I'm gonna stop for 2 months, and I've never done that before, ever.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you, Leann, because you said you were addicted to opiates. If you do like tolerance breaks with Kratom, and if you have withdrawals, and are they anything like a opiate withdrawal? If that's part of your experience.
It's definitely nothing like opiate withdrawals. It's something that I can actually like sit through if I have to. But
I'd say she acts like she hasn't had her vape all day.
I mean, I don't know if it's that bad. I would be really mad if I didn't have any nicotine. But I think that it's honestly just like, it's a little hard to regulate my body temperature, or like, you know, your appetite changes. It's not super difficult. You might get a little restless leg here and there, but it's nowhere near as bad as it was trying to quit opiates. Like,
You certainly ain't gonna be sucking off strangers in the alleyway.
oh no. I mean, if I didn't have the money for it and I couldn't get Kratom, I would just not do anything, like sit through it for a few days and I would be completely fine, you know?
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Michael gets some junk food.
Oh yeah.
Fill that void.
Yeah, I do. I suddenly get a sweet tooth when I stop drinking. Do you take like regular tolerance breaks, or?
Honestly, no.
Yeah.
I don't feel a need to most of the time. And also like with the pain that I'm in, I have a lot of back pain.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to get stuff done, you know? But I do lower the amount that I take sometimes, you know, try to get it down to like 5 grams. And I used to take it multiple times a day, 10 grams multiple times a day. Now I only do it in the morning and then at night. So I've gotten better.
That's cool. A lot of people say like less is more, and they started off taking a whole bunch, and then now they only take a little bit. But
I agree.
I was the
agree with
opposite.
the less is more. I agree entirely with the less is more idea.
Yeah, I have an issue. I don't like, my favorite one is Green Mang Dot, and because I don't switch it up very often to any other green vein, I build a tolerance to it. So I started the opposite way. I started off small, and then over like 10 years, I started taking more.
yeah. Have you ever had any kind of weird side effects or medical issues that a doctor told you it was from Kratom? Or have you ever seen a doctor that you could tell, hey, I'm using Kratom?
No, we had our blood work done like a month or two ago, and they didn't remark anything on it.
I told the nurse, that I went to get my blood work done. I told her that I took Kratom, and she had no idea what that was. So I kind of tried to explain it to her.
How do you take it in a tea, or you just
I do the powder. I toss and wash with orange juice. I put the powder in my mouth and wash it back.
What do you think's going to happen in Louisiana with Kratom in 2024 in the next session, or with the parishes? Is there anybody gearing up there to come down on you in Baton Rouge?
Well, it's there's one thing I can say since I've started getting more involved in local politics. I have learned that anyone who has a chair in the Senate or the House, they're just like people, and they can change their mind any day. And I'm trying to take it at this point. I don't want to be the big conspiracy guy. Oh my God, who's paying you off? Blah blah blah. I genuinely want to believe that even if they disagree with me, they're trying to do what they believe is best for the people they're trying to protect. I really want to believe that, but
the best in them.
honestly, it just kind of seems like whoever pays them the biggest amount at this point is where things are going to go. And the fact that they're leaving it up to the parishes, that it's going to be spotted in Louisiana. For as far as Kratom goes, I can tell you that there's going to be parishes you're going to want to be. You can buy it all over in, but there's going to be other parishes where there's no way you're going to find it. You know what I mean?
Well, if you were a cynical, sleazy businessman, you could lobby to get it outlawed in all the parishes around yours, and then they'd have to come to your store to buy it.
I need competition. I really want healthy competition. It helps lift the stigma about stores like mine,
Yeah.
I know it's weird to say that, but I genuinely want
Healthy competition.
Honest, healthy competition that has at least a level of concern similar to mine, if not greater, something that helps me up my game.
Yeah. I mean, it's better for small business. I mean, I used to run a farm, and we were at market, and it's like, the thing that we would say is we're not competition for each other, we're competition for the grocery store. So, small businesses working in concert can make a powerful lobby.
Exactly.
Even if you would like them to come to your store instead of their store or whatever. But it's kind of like, rising tide lifts all boats sort of thing, especially if you're a small business. But yeah, thank you guys a lot for talking to me. And thanks for all the testifying you guys did down there. I'll be able to come to New Orleans and not drink because I'll be able to buy Kratom, but that's unlikely. I'll probably just be drinking.
It's the right place for it.
Thank you for all the advocacy you put forward, man. Always good talking to you. And if you are in New Orleans, be sure you give us a ring. I'd be happy to see you at the shop.
Hell yeah, absolutely. Hell yeah. We'll definitely come. We're definitely going back to New Orleans again at some point, and we'll definitely drive over to Baton Rouge and visit you guys.
Oh, and one more thing I want to say before we go. For anyone out there, Kratom saves. It saved my life, and it could help you too. Look into it.
Thank you, Leann Pierson and Adam Peak from Bella Sunrise Smokeshop in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Check out their Facebook and Insta. The links are in the description. Also, check us out on TikTok, KR80M Science, on Twitter at Kratom Science, and on Facebook. Call in 412-353-9770. The music is Risey, Memories of Thailand. The Kratom Science podcast is produced by me, Brian Gallagher, for KratomScience.com. Take care.